Every morning, at exactly 6:52, the same cat appeared outside her bakery. He never begged, never made a sound, never even looked at the food. He would simply sit there, waiting. Then, without hesitation, he'd walk inside, jump onto the same chair by the window, stay for a while, and quietly leave. No one knew where he came from. No one knew where he went. But one morning, something changed. Because this time, the cat brought something with him. A small cloth bag tied tightly around his collar. And inside that bag was a message no one was prepared for. The bakery smelled like cinnamon and fresh bread before the sun came up. Colette liked it that way. There was something comforting about being surrounded by warmth while the rest of the world was still asleep. She had been working there for 5 months now, long enough to learn the rhythm of the place, the early regulars, the quiet mornings, the soft hum of ovens waking up. Everything had a pattern, everything made sense, except the cat. He had started appearing about 5 weeks ago. At first, she thought he belonged to someone nearby, a stray with good instincts. But the more she watched him, the more she realized there was nothing random about him. "Your silent customer is here again," Nico called from the back one morning. Colette didn't even need to look at the clock. She already knew what time it was. 6:57, exactly. She glanced toward the door. There he was, sitting perfectly still on the step. Golden fur, streaked with white. Large, calm, almost dignified. "Good morning," she said softly as she opened the door. The cat didn't move, didn't react. He simply waited until she stepped aside, then walked in like he had every right to be there. The first thing he always did was go straight to the third chair by the window. Never the first, never the second, never any other spot, just that one. He would jump up, turn toward the glass, and sit, still as a statue, watching the street outside, not blinking much, not distracted by people, not interested in food, just watching, as if he expected someone to appear at any moment. At first, customers found it amusing. Children loved him. They would reach out to pet him, giggling when he didn't react much. Adults would smile, take pictures, whisper about how well-behaved he was. But Colette noticed something else, something quieter, something heavier. The cat wasn't just sitting there. He was waiting. Days turned into weeks. The routine never changed. 6:52, door, chair, window. Wait. Leave. Every single time. No delay, no variation. No mistakes. "Maybe he just likes the warmth," Nico said one morning, placing fresh buns on display. "Or the smell," Colette replied. But even as she said it, she didn't believe it. Because there was something about the way the cat stared out that window that didn't look like comfort. It looked like expectation, like memory. One gray morning, she found herself standing beside him, looking out at the same street. "What are you waiting for?" she whispered. The cat turned his head slightly, met her eyes, then looked back outside again. And for a brief moment, it felt like he understood the question. Everything changed the day Ren came back. He had been away for weeks, visiting family. When he walked into the bakery that morning, everything seemed normal. Until he saw the cat. He stopped mid-step. Froze. "Wait," his voice dropped slightly. "I know that cat." Colette looked at him surprised. "You do?" Ren didn't answer immediately. He walked closer, slowly, carefully, like he wasn't sure if what he was seeing was real. "That cat," he said finally, "belonged to a man who used to come here every day." He pointed toward the window. "That chair." The room went quiet. "What happened to him?" Colette asked. Ren shook his head. I don't know. He just stopped coming. That was the moment everything shifted. Because suddenly, the cat's routine didn't feel strange anymore. It felt meaningful, important. The same chair, the same time, the same silent waiting. It wasn't random. It was a habit, a memory being replayed every morning. And the realization settled heavily in the room. The cat wasn't just visiting, he was returning. But what no one expected was that the story wasn't over. In fact, it hadn't really even begun. It happened on a cold December morning, the kind where frost clung to the windows. Colette unlocked the door early, stepped inside, turned on the lights. Everything felt normal. Until 6:59. She looked up. The cat was there, right on time. But something was different. At first, she couldn't place it. Then she saw it. A small cloth bag hanging from his collar. Her heart skipped. What is that? She knelt down slowly. The cat didn't move, didn't resist, almost like he wanted her to notice. Her fingers trembled as she untied the string. Inside the bag were a few coins and a folded piece of paper. She opened it carefully and read, "If this cat still comes to your bakery, could you please send 1 cinnamon bun with him? I can't walk that far anymore." The room fell silent. Her vision blurred. "He's alive," she whispered. That morning, everything changed. Not just for the cat, but for them. Colette wrapped the freshest bun, still warm, placed it gently in the bag, tied it securely, and stepped back. The cat stood up immediately, walked to the door, paused, looked back at her, then left, carrying something more than just bread. He was carrying connection. The next morning, he came back. Same time, same chair, same silence. But this time, there was another note. "Thank you." It tasted just like before. Colette smiled through tears, packed another bun, and sent him on his way. Day after day, the ritual continued. More notes, more coins, small requests, extra cinnamon if possible. She always said yes. But the questions wouldn't stop. Who was this man? Why was he alone? How had no one checked on him? One afternoon, Colette made up her mind. We need to find him. Ren hesitated. Is that really our place? She didn't hesitate. Yes, it is. The next morning, they followed him, from a distance, carefully. The cat moved with purpose. No hesitation, no confusion. He knew exactly where he was going, because he had done it many times before. He stopped at a small house, faded blue paint, overgrown yard, quiet, too quiet. The cat walked to the door, sat down, and meowed once. The door opened slowly. A trembling hand appeared. Then a man, older than expected, weaker, but alive. Later that day, Colette visited him. He told him everything. The stroke, the fall, the silence, the long recovery. I couldn't leave the house anymore, he said. But he still went. He looked down at the cat. He remembered everything. Within days, things began to change. Help arrived. Care, support, people. And every morning, the cat still made his trip. But now, he wasn't alone in the story. One morning, the bakery door opened, earlier than usual. Everyone turned, and there he was, standing, shaking slightly, but standing. The man, back where he belonged. 1 cinnamon bun, he said softly, and maybe extra cinnamon. Laughter filled the room, tears too. He walked to the chair, sat down, and for the first time in months, he wasn't waiting anymore. Sometimes the world forgets people, but sometimes one small act of loyalty is enough to bring them back.